First.
The special call meeting of the South San Antonio Independent School District Board of Trustees will come to order. Today is September 9th, 2019, and the time is 7:15 p.m. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mrs. Mandy Martinez, Mr. Luis Ibarra Jr., Mr. Homer Flores,
Here.
Ms. Shirley Ibarra Peña, present. Mrs. Connie Prado,
Present.
Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez,
Present.
Mrs. Edna Flores.
Thank you, Michelle. At this time, could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, the Texas Pledge, prayer, and our call to action.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to you, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your head in prayer. As we gather together, we praise you for this day and your purpose for it. We set our agendas as we sit in your presence, for you assure us that where two or more gather in your name, you are here. We calibrate our intentions and refocus our hearts. Your will for our lives does not always reflect our plans. Change them to reflect your will. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Call to action.
All students enjoy successful education experiences, empowering them to make decisions while enriching their lives in the future they create.
Thank you. Before we go into the agenda items, I'd like to propose a change order of the day. I'd like to change, if I may, bring up the citizens to be heard first, and then we'll follow that with a report by the superintendent and board president. So the first item is citizens to be heard. And with that, Mr. Rodriguez, if you would please.
Madam President, yes, thank you. Just real quick, every citizen will have 3 minutes to give your remarks. When I hold this up, you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. And just a friendly reminder, and I know I haven't done this in previous meetings, when you're up there addressing and giving your remarks, refrain from addressing individual members, whether it be members of the board, whether it be members of administration. You're just giving general, broad remarks without pointing out any specific individual. So the first citizens to be heard is Mr. Juan Vigil.
Good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure being here today again. Thanks to all the friend faces. I'm here today to speak about last board's meeting. It was pretty pitiful. Here we have community members that never come, and then they come and give rude comments and go way beyond of pointing fingers and such things that we're not supposed to be doing. Another thing was that we're here, they're not aware of what's going on because apparently they're not following social media or friends or whatsoever. We have our former councilman that shares information, but a lot of this information that's shared is always negativity, and it's not things that are good for our community, for our health, for our plans that our board members that we have now in plan to do better for SSISD. Now, here we are with two former board members that left. I think it was not a loss. I think it was always negativity that we had feeding there, so I think that's probably a plus, and we can find additional board members like the board members that are here serving tonight. It'd be great, so that we can fulfill and follow through what is going to be done. When we first met, myself and other community members, when we first met, our superintendent was fabulous because he was very more transparent and everything. We had a lot of plans going on and so forth. We had, I'm not Noah, but I had the honor and pleasure of meeting him, and a lot of good ideas were being done. House was supposed to be swept, and a lot of other employees and the bad apples in the pack were out, and some of them left on their own, which was fabulous. Now, the whole idea is now community coming up and saying, not talking negative, but looking, okay, a lot of them came last week saying about the them not being informed, and okay, they're not against schools being open. So what's all the flattering and all the negativity going on and insults to our board members now and to our president? Our superintendent was supposed to clean house, which was done, but I didn't expect for him to follow through. You know, it was the thing is getting rid of the bad apples, not follow them. And it's sad to say, but nevertheless, those things do happen. Another thing is that I thank y'all for being here for our kids, for our community, and keep on and don't give up. We got what was not working with us out of the pack already, so you, as the unity, keep on working. We have media talking about our president, president. Don't leave. I think you should serve another 2 terms. Go for the 2 + 2, 22. You'll enjoy the church's chicken, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and don't give up, and don't listen to the negativities there. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Next citizens to be heard is Iris Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Madam President. Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you so much for being here on Monday, and thank you to everybody that was able to be here today. I know last board meeting was a little surprising with, 3 board members stepping down from the board. And it was surprising, but not too much. We've known for a long time that they were the minority, and we're just trying to do their job here, representing the citizens of South San. So I hope that now that they have stepped down, that you will do your job here as a board to effectively reach out to members of the community that can become part of the board, and making sure that this is publicized, that opportunities are available for other folks to join the board, and even if it's residents that may not necessarily agree 100%. I also know that there was some talk about, and there were some things pointed out about parents or community members that don't come to every meeting. It's difficult. It's difficult for a lot of families that are working, very long hours to sometimes come out. But please do not mistake that for us not being informed or for us not being aware of what's happening with our school district. We definitely watch live streams, and I know a lot of community members that do, my neighbors do. We keep up on social media. So we want to make sure that there's transparency, and I think we all do for the school district. And we hope that we can move forward and find new board members. I just want to, again, thank you for being here and really try, I know you're trying your best, but maybe try a little bit harder to engage residents. And in addition to that, I did want to add, I know that you pointed out, Mr. Rodriguez, about not pinpointing board members, and I'm not referencing the member itself, but the rules that were read before citizens to be heard. Those rules, those should also apply to community members. People shouldn't be intimidated to come to the meetings and shouldn't feel like they don't have a voice. It should be open to everybody. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next citizen to be heard is Angie Olera.
Good evening, Madam President, board members. My name is Angelita Olvera, and I'm here tonight to thank you all for reopening our schools. I know it's going to take a lot of work, but we can do it. Unidos se puede. Also, with what happened at the last board meeting, that 3 of the board members resigned, well, they're sore losers. And I'm sure whatever goes behind doors in closed session, there should be a reason, or I'm sure there's a reason why they're getting rid of some of these superintendents. It's not probably because they're doing something good. So if you don't know what goes on, then don't speak up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next citizen to be heard is Stacy Alderete.
Good evening, members of the board. Welcome, Ms. Sendejo, new face. Welcome to a board meeting. I'd like to, I guess, I can apologize for what I said last week about, well, I'm going to apologize slightly. She's right that a lot of people work and they can't make the meetings, but I've been doing this almost 15 years, and it's the same people in this boardroom until last week. And I'm glad you're here. I hope people continue to come. One thing that I'd like to point out is that the media is relentless, and they keep pointing the finger at the board, but they have yet to say exactly what it is that they did wrong. What law did they break? What did they do? The negativity continues, and it continues, and it continues because there's personal agendas. My question is, when is the community going to get together and fight just as hard to make it work? I've been doing this a long time, and new faces, I've never seen in here before. You want to continue, and you want to continue to write stories. We have the Express News slamming the board president. The board president isn't under investigation. And they keep saying that we have a monitor that's mandated. Where is she? If she's mandated, why is she not here? Because if they're mandated, they have to be at every meeting. She hasn't been here in how many meetings? But y'all keep printing it. Negativity, negativity, negativity. You keep saying, when are we going to get back to the kids? Answer your own question. When are we getting back to the kids? When is the Rivard going to write a good story about our children? When is Gloria Padilla going to write a good story about our children? When are the news cameras going to focus on what our kids do here? And when is the community going to put their heads together and get it together?
Because one person can't do it, two people can't do it, it takes a village, literally. And people sit here and smile and they laugh, but they're not here. They're not pounding the pavement. And my strings aren't pulled by anybody. I stand on my own 2 feet. And I always have. So I'm glad that there's people here finally, and hopefully instead of swinging the bat at everybody sitting up there, we swing the bat for these kids and make it work. If we fought just as hard as we do to point fingers up here, could you imagine what we could get done as a district? But it never happens, and that's why nothing changes here, because that doesn't happen. We're too focused on people's old agendas. There's a reason people are gone. They don't just get up and leave, and nobody made them leave. Do your homework deeply. Don't just listen to what you hear. Our staff and our teachers work hard here, and we need to support them, and we need to push hard to make it work, because they deserve it.
That's your 30 minutes.
Thank you, Board, and thank you for all that you do.
Madam President, that concludes this speaker portion.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Before we go on with the business at hand, I'd like to read, as I normally do, our board meeting rules for decorum. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience or individual board members. Applause, outbursts, or demonstrations by any spectator will not be permitted during the course of a meeting. Everyone will take a seat. There will be no standing, and signs are not allowed during the proceedings. Persons attending board meetings shall not delay, interrupt, or disrupt the proceedings or refuse to obey the orders of the presiding officer. Any disruption will result in immediate removal of members of the public and possible action of the board to remove disruptive individual board members. At no time during a board meeting, whether a regular or special call meeting, and whether in open or closed session, shall a board member use his or her cell phone or engage in texting. The use of phones or texting demonstrates a lack of respect for the proceeding and may, under certain circumstances, even be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Board members will refrain from private discussions during any board meeting, whether in open or closed session. In the event of an emergency, board members will excuse themselves from the meeting to address the emergency. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the agenda. The first item is interim superintendent's report. Ms. Sendejo.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and welcome to our guests today. Actually, just a big smile, because this evening we celebrated our summer graduates of class of 2019. And we were very proud, and yes, definitely an applause for that. We had parents, we had grandparents, we had relatives there, and you can just really see the excitement and just the proudness, and it was just really special to be a part of that this evening. Thank you to our board members that were a part of that as well. Congratulations to our staff, our executive principal, Dr. Hernandez, our associate principal, Mrs. Husband, and our assistant principals, our counselors, and most importantly, our community, our parents, and just to see those faces and them walking the stage outshines any report this evening, Madam President. So thank you for that, and I appreciate you allowing us to have some words. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sendejo. Okay, next is the board president's comments, remarks, or reports. I'd like to, if I could at this time, make some comments, if the board will indulge me. My fellow colleagues on the Board of Trustees and interim superintendent Sendejo, tonight the school district is at a crossroads which will determine how we move forward in our quest for success. We cannot afford to fail, because we would ultimately fail our students, their parents, and the community. Tonight, we begin the process to fill the trustee positions which were vacated last week. Later this month, we begin the process for the search of a permanent superintendent. Although these two processes are important, we can never forget why each of us is here. We only exist to ensure that we provide the best educational setting for all of our students. If our students succeed, then our school district succeeds. First, I must address some of the statements made by our departing trustees. Among other issues, they clearly felt that their voice was not being heard and that their service as a trustee was not valued. Believe me, I know that feeling all too well. In 2007, when former trustee Karen Tomlinson and I fought the closing of West Campus High School, both of us felt that our voices were not being heard or considered, that our service as a trustee was not being valued. After we lost the battle and West Campus was closed, we did not resign our positions. We continued to serve our communities. Recently, in 2017, when our schools were closed for all the wrong reasons, former trustee Leticia Guerra and I fought the good fight, and we lost. A few months later, when the board decided to have the tax increase election, it was forced down our throats. We questioned whether our voices were being heard, and more importantly, we questioned whether our service as trustees were being valued. But we did not quit, and we continued our service on the Board of Trustees. I am reminded of the schoolyard game of marbles. We all know that story. The child who owns the marbles loses the game. They get upset. The child no longer wants to play, picks up their marbles, and goes home. Young children don't know any better, but responsible adults in leadership positions should know better. The recently resigned trustees rehearsed their exit and perhaps was an indicator to a desired result. Only time will tell. The board remains committed to the successful reopening of Athens Elementary, Kaizen Middle School, and West Campus High School. We remain optimistic that with the leadership of Interim Superintendent Sendejo, we shall realize that goal. Board Policy BJA Local is very clear, and it states, I quote, "The superintendent shall articulate and support board policy and decisions to staff and community." End of quote. Additionally, Board Policy BJA Legal is also very clear, and it states, I quote, "The superintendent shall provide joint leadership with the board to ensure that the responsibilities of the board and superintendent team are carried out." Unquote. Needless to say, there are times when these policies are out of reach. Change becomes necessary. Decisions become difficult. Then we hope for the best for all involved. Then it becomes time to move forward. And that is what we are doing now. Accordingly, I will be sharing with my current and future colleagues and Interim Superintendent Sendejo my thoughts on forming a special committee pursuant to Board Policy BDB Local, consisting of principals, district staff, the interim superintendent, and board members. This committee's charge would be to brainstorm and develop strategies to retain students and attract new students to our school district. But first, we shall look forward to a recommendation from the interim superintendent on how to proceed. In addition to addressing increased enrollment, I will be sharing with my current and future colleagues and interim superintendents and Sendejo my thoughts on resurrection, our former community newsletter known as Today's South San. This publication was bulk mailed to every household in our school district. We need to highlight our campuses, our students' success stories, the teacher initiatives, and of course, facts about academic ratings, financial ratings, and other required postings. However, more importantly, every one of our residents deserves to know the facts and the truth without omissions, bias, and innuendo. If we cannot get a fair shake in the media, then we have an obligation to inform our residents with the accuracy they deserve. But first, we should look forward to a recommendation from the interim superintendent on how to proceed. Finally, I believe that I speak for my colleagues in saying that we have not received a fair shake in the various media outlets. Today, South San should help in offering our side of the story. Not too many people know that journalists have a code of ethics. One can refer to this code in the Society of Professional Journalists website. In the preamble of this code of ethics, it states, and I paraphrase, quote, journalists should seek the truth and provide a fair and comprehensive account of events and issues, unquote. It further says that, quote, conscientious journalists from all media and specialties strive to serve the public with thoroughness and honesty, unquote. And that, quote, professional integrity is the cornerstone of a journalist's credibility, unquote. Suffice to say, most journalists adhere to this code of ethics. Some do not. On another note, some of our former elected officials, and one in particular, is a sore loser. He spent thousands of dollars supporting his candidates in the school board elections in 2016, and he lost. Next, he supported and lost the tax increase election. And then, once again, he supported and funded school board candidates in 2018, and he lost again. When this former official comes and orchestrates a public outcry at a school board meeting, he thinks is the best way to hurt members of the board. He's not. He's dead wrong. He's not hurting the board. In fact, he is hurting our students, hurting the image of his alma mater, and hurting the community. It must be tough going through withdrawal symptoms. The light goes out, the telephone stops ringing, and now you are only an afterthought. Most former officials can handle it better than others. I do not expect this individual to stop anytime soon. But if you truly care for our students, please refrain from using them as political pawns. In conclusion, I look forward to the successes, yet unknown, to a unified board in the making and to the bright future yet realized. Rest assured, we shall not go quietly into the night. Thank you for taking time to indulge me. Okay, business at hand. Next we have discussion and possible action. Number 1, board members, before I go to the action items, I was able to make my remarks, and I'd like to, at this time, because it's my prerogative, if anyone has anything they'd like to say, I will allow some comments.
I do, Madam Chair.
Ms. Peña.
So I would like to start off by saying that I am here for the children, teachers, and all the personnel that help keep South San going. I appreciate all the hard work from our teachers, custodians, police officers, bus drivers, and administration. Well, since the meeting on Tuesday, there has been nothing but negative comments and media coverage about this board and inaccurate information that we are micromanaging administration with the day-by-day operations, which is not true. But what can I say? Everyone only knowing one side of the story instead of having an open mind to hear the other side. I am not here to benefit myself, but I am here for our kids and do my best to give everything our kids need to succeed, to become important people in this world who can make a difference. This Board of Trustees are here to make a change for the good and break away from the old ways. We want South San ISD to come out of the negative place that the media has put South San ISD in. And it's time for South San to shine in the spotlight for positive outcomes for our district and most of all, our kids who are our future. And this is all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Peña. Anyone else? Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just, I think I've been very firm in my position and my belief and my reason for serving. And I certainly thank you for making those comments. I certainly agree with you. Beyond 110%, yeah, I'm told that you can't go more than 100%. My kids tell me that, but I say 110% anyway. You know, it's time to move on, move forward. I've been saying this over and over and over again. The only thing that matters now is what we do going forward as a district, and most importantly, what's happening in those classrooms on a day-to-day basis with our students and our teachers. So I look forward to getting that accomplished sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to keep my remarks simple. And of course, I didn't think I was going to get a chance to say anything, so I didn't write anything down. But I will say that I am alumni of South San, and I'm from here, and so are all my family members. And so when, you know, surprised to see, you know, 3 board members resign, and in their departing words, make accusations of meddling in day-to-day operations. I found that you know, disturbing, because that's an accusation that's not proven. You know, if I start 4 in the morning on my job and I work as hard as I can to get here by a meeting time at 5 o'clock, because that's how long it takes, and I do this 6 days a week, I go, believe me, I do my part to serve the district the best that I can. I think on social media outlets, I put my phone number out there, and I even put out my email asking, you know, folks, especially that are all in the negativity, you're welcome to call me, you're welcome to email me. I'll answer the questions the best you can, you know. And so I take offense, you know, to comments when somebody says you care more about a football field than you do about the kids. But I think I said in a meeting, if it was one child that I could prevent from getting getting hurt for a lifetime, because I reiterated in that meeting that, boy, what if that boy is in 9th grade and he got hurt and hit his head, and then he can't do something for the rest of his life? Did I say no to something? I would say yes again, and 1,000 times over. It was just for one child. And so I come to you as a available board member, somebody from the district, whose kids are from the district, who made a promise to, you know, to a late wife that, okay, I will make sure that my kids are Bobcats and they stay Bobcats. And so I'm committed, and you know, I'm going to do the best that I can. I can take, you know, all these words and whatever departing members let us say, except that, you know, if you're going to accuse me of something, then let it be true. But that's what I have to say.
Okay, Mr. Flores. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 1, discussion and possible action to approve board trustee resignations for trustees in single-member districts 1, 2, and 7, and to declare vacancies in those positions. As we're all aware, the resignations came to us last week, and so the item now is to approve the resignations. And I'd like to refer to legal counsel. Mr. O'Hanlon, what is the process to approve these resignations?
The approval is a simple motion and a majority vote by the board. The reason why the resignations become effective 8 days after they're tendered anyway, we thought we would try and accept it earlier so we could get the start on the replacement. So our recommendation is that we take action rather than let it expire on its own, so that we could begin the process of the replacement. The reason why that's important is that despite the fact that there's 3 resignations, the quorum is still 4. If schedules and things of that nature being what they are, or somebody gets sick, then we have to call off the board meeting. So we want to fill those positions as quickly as we can, so that we can get on with the business of the district in due course.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Board members, you've heard the explanation from Mr. O'Hanlon. Do I hear a motion at this time?
Move to approve and accept the resignations.
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Peña. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Ibarra Peña,
Yes.
Mrs. Prado,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is discussion with legal counsel concerning legal options for filling vacancies under the Texas Education Code Section 11.060. Mr. O'Hanlon.
Madam President, members of the board, now that we have vacancies, we come to the issue of how to fill those vacancies. 11.060 provides two methods with respect to fill the vacancies. Well, first, as a predicate, there are more, in each of those three terms, there are more than 180 days remaining in the balance of those terms. One of them is 3 years and a couple of months, the other is about 14 months, the other two are 14 months each, more or less. Because of that, the vacancies must be filled. You cannot go until the next election with that. The statute requires if there's more than a year, the vacancy has to be filled. It has to be filled legally within 180 days under law. So that's the statute with respect to that. As I said, alluded to earlier, there's a practical consideration because there are now 4 sitting trustees. That creates quorum problems in case somebody's out of town for work or is ill, so that it is our recommendation that we fill these as quickly as possible so that we can maintain quorums for meetings in terms of that, and people don't have to have perfect attendance because schedules get busy, kids get sick, the trustees get sick, that kind of stuff. So there are 2 methods to fill it. You can fill a vacancy by an appointment. In either case, let me go through the list first. Persons, in order to be either elected or appointed, the requirements are the same. In order to hold the office, you must be a United States citizen. You must be 18 years or older on the first day you take office. You must be not have been determined by the final judgment of a court to be mentally incompetent or incapacitated. You must not have been convicted of a felony. You must have resided continuously in the state of Texas for 12 months and in the district for the 6 months immediately prior to the date of the election, that is the taking of the office or the appointment, whichever it is. Must be registered to vote in the single-member district in which you are elected or appointed. You must be a resident of that single-member district. Those are the requirements, whether you fill the office, are the same, whether by election or appointment. If you do an appointment, there is no legal guidance, specifically legal guidance. The board is free to choose its own methodology or in order to fill the vacancy. A couple of years ago, this district had a vacancy and filled it by posted application and an appointment after a meeting. So I would recommend that if you choose appointment, that we do that again. We'll get back to timelines in a few minutes. If we do election, we can call an election, but we cannot fill the position until mid-November because elections for trustees' positions must be on uniform election dates. It is possible to call a special election in time for the November uniform election date because the date is more than 46 days before the date of that uniform election date. That's the absolute minimum timeline for those. So that could happen. But if you do call that, you will not be able to fill the position by appointment, and you will have vacancies for in excess of 2 months. Back to the quorum problem. If you do an election, you have to have the expense of calling and holding a special election. Based on the foregoing, and because of the quorum issues, it's our recommendation that we seek to fill the position by, although this is a kind of a not strictly a legal question, but because of the quorum issues, we recommend that you appoint.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Board members, are there any questions for Mr. O'Hanlon?
Just one question.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Regarding the requirements that you just read out, Ms. O'Hanlon, if I just want to make sure that I'm correct, that those are listed in BBA legal, is that correct?
Pardon me?
The requirements you just read off as far as eligibility, that's BBA local, correct?
Yeah, it's also state law.
Gotcha.
It's also 11.2.
Yes, sir.
It's in both places. State law sets forth the requirements.
Thank you.
With respect to timeline, like I said I'd talk about that just briefly. There is no particular time. It is simply judgment that you make if you decide to appoint it, that there's enough time to get a reasonable look at applicants that are qualified to fill the position. Remember, because you're in single-member districts, we need to get applicants from each of those single-member districts. Now, there is no particular reason, and I don't want to predict failure, but I don't want to get caught in it in terms of that. Let's assume we get applicants from 2, but not a 3rd. We don't have to hold the 2 in order to fill the 3rd. So it is possible to do it in steps. I'm not saying that we need to do that or predicting failure. Hopefully we'll get people to apply. But you can proceed in steps with respect to that depending on the applications as you get.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Any other questions for Mr. O'Hanlon? Okay, this item is not an action item. It was just an informational item from our legal counsel. Moving on to item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve a timeline and adopt procedures in order to fill Board of Trustees vacancies. Board members, as Mr. O'Hanlon just stated, that is an option that we have, and it's up for discussion. Does anyone have any discussion on this particular item or any recommendation or action?
If I may, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm in total agreement with the legal counsel's position and opinion and recommendation on how we should move forward in filling these vacant positions. I think it's in the best interest, I know it's in the best interest of the school district to fill these vacancies sooner rather than later so we can continue with business at hand and we don't find ourselves in a predicament where we don't have an available quorum and there is business that may need to be brought before the Board of Trustees by the interim superintendent and her administration that needs, or the board president, that needs attention quickly. So I do have a recommendation, if I may, on the timeline. So today we're accepting, we've just accepted the resignations of the previous Board of Trustees. So my recommendation, and I'm actually going to move that we, tomorrow, Tuesday, September 10th, that the application process is posted on the school district's website and notices are posted at every school district facility. But before I move on to the timeline, I'd like to remind everyone, I don't know if everybody here remembers, some of you may, I actually went through this process a year ago, last May, March, April, May, March, in that window there, where I came and I was interested in serving. Took the leap of faith to get in the game and I went through the process to apply, went in here, got interviewed, made it into the second round. I was not chosen, but fortunately for the school district in my community, I beat that individual in the subsequent election in November. So now I have the distinct honor of serving up here as a Board of Trustee today. So I have been through this process before. So given that, tomorrow I recommend and I move that we process, the application process be posted on the school district's website and notices are posted at every school district facility. I'm also going to move and make a motion that it's all one motion, right? These are my recommendations, and I guess I can move to accept the recommendations that I just laid out. Okay, so then the following Tuesday, September 17th, at 5 p.m. CST would be the deadline to receive those letters of interest and resumes. At that point, the board president and the board vice president will open those sealed applications, and copies will be provided to the members of the boards at their residence for their review. On September 18th, which is that following Wednesday, applicants are encouraged to, which I'm going to recommend to the board president that we have, I believe that's going to be our regular called meeting, correct, for Wednesday the 18th. that we encourage those that have applied to attend the regular board meeting in the event that they are chosen to be interviewed. That same night, the board will select those individuals to fill these board vacancies for these single member districts. And at that same meeting, we will, those selected will complete the required forms, and those selected will take the oath of office and take their seats at the dais. I had also made some notes here regarding where these applications should be delivered, and it's my recommendation that they be delivered to Mr. Kevin O'Hanlon's office located here in San Antonio. The address will be provided on the posting. I've also, Ms. O'Hanlon's email address will also be provided and posted on the posting. So if those wishing to submit electronically will have the option to do so. The rest of the notes that I have here, legal counsel has already gone through as far as the requirements, Madam President. So just a couple of additional notes here. Applicants are required to attach a copy of their voter registration certificate or an official proxy from Bexar County Elections Office. Applicants are encouraged to search on the school district's website to view redistricting maps to determine if the applicant lives in a single member district where the vacancy exists. If further assistance is necessary regarding the address location pertaining to single member districts, you may contact the board president. And I'm certain that they can also call the central office and ask questions and get direction on where that information might be posted on the website.
We will provide an application document for anybody that's interested and put it on the website as well, so they can list their check offs that their requirements have been met, and that so that expedite that filing of that by any candidate.
Is that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, I think Mr. Rodriguez presented a motion with the information as presented. So I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Peña. Is there any further discussion on this item? Yes, Mr. Flores.
Madam President, just that if we can get a copy, can I get a copy of the timeline?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Are you going to supply a timeline, the copy of the timeline?
Yes, yes. We'll put that up. The deliverables will be, what on the website, will be a notice. The notice will have a map, either a link to the map or not, so people can see what districts 1, 2, and 7 look like. We will have an application form so they can answer the questions with their address and all this other stuff. It's got information why you want to be a board member and that kind of stuff. We use it for last time. We will have a set of the requirements and the timeline. So we'll have all of this in a package that they can look at. And we'll also take it by mail, by hand delivery, by fax, or by email with respect to that, and make sure, just give it to us one way or another so anybody that's interested can have a shot at it.
Yeah, I think if I may, board members, also I think the package itself should be available here at central office. So if anyone is here and they want to pick up a packet, I think it should be made available.
Yeah, it's all online. All we have to do is print it. It'll all be online, so they don't have to come in and get it, but we'll have copies here. So if they want to come in and get a paper copy, they can.
Okay, just want to make sure that it's available here also.
Sure.
Okay, Michelle, can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Ibarra Peña?
Yes.
Mrs. Prado?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, last item on the agenda for open session is discussion and possible action to appoint a mentor to advise the Board of Trustees and our interim superintendent. Board members, as you remember, this item was on the agenda for the last meeting, and it was tabled to be brought back today. The item for the mentor is, as you know, fortunate to have Ms. Sendejo as our interim superintendent, and I think with the board members that we have now, and hopefully with the other 3 members that we're going to get, once we get the 7 members on board, that having a mentor is going to assist us also assist our superintendent, Ms. Sendejo. We were lucky to get her because she was an experienced associate superintendent, but I think she'll agree it's a little different being a superintendent as opposed to an associate superintendent. So I think having a mentor would help not only her, and then we've got some pending issues and some positions that are vacant that are going to need help. And I think having a mentor who is not only a retired superintendent, but also is financially experienced in the finance department will help us a lot. We still need to finalize our budget, finalize the 1920 budget, and that takes a lot of time and work. And I think having this person here with that experience is going to help us a lot. So I'd like to make a motion if I could. I make a motion that we appoint Dr. Buck Gilcrease to be our mentor to advise the Board of Trustees and the interim superintendent. Do I hear a second?
Can I suggest an amendment to?
Yes, let me finish the motion.
Okay.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez. Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
So I'm in agreement with everything that you said, Madam President. I think that would be beneficial to everyone involved in the district, but I just wanted to get a little bit more detail as to the specifics of the mentor and the expectations. So I would move that we enlist the assistance of Buck Gilcrease as a mentor for Southside ISD. He will provide technical assistance to the interim superintendent, as well as provide input to the board as we engage our community more extensively, renew and strengthen our commitment to Lone Star governance, and continue to increase our focus on teachers and students learning in the classroom.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you want to, I could withdraw my motion, Mr. O'Hanlon, and then Mr. Rodriguez's motion will then be the main motion.
That would be a friendly amendment if it's acceptable to the author, the movement, and you don't have to put it on. Is it acceptable?
Okay, well, that's fine. I accept the amendment then, Mr. Rodriguez. So we are voting now on the amendment.
As amended.
As amended. The motion as amended. Okay. Michelle, roll call, please.
Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Ibarra Peña?
Yes.
Mrs. Prado?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, at this time now we will go into closed session. The board will convene into closed session pursuant to the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, and 551.0821. Item number 1 is discussion concerning personnel matters pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074. And number 2 is to receive a report on the results of an investigation and, if appropriate, receive recommendations. The time now is 8:05. will reconvene into open session. The time is 9:42. There is no action on any of the closed session items. So at this time, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We adjourn at 9:42. Thank you.